Hey everybody, today I'm looking at the new 15-inch 13 amp dethatcher from Sunjo. If you want to get the whole review in 30 seconds, here it is. Good luck with that. Want to let you know I did buy this myself. This is not a paid review. Also, I'm used to renting gas powered units, so we'll see how it compares to my experience with those. And finally, if you like what you see, please subscribe to my channel, leave a like on the video, and feel free to ask any questions in the comments. Thanks. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the new Sunjo AJ805E. This is their brand new 15-inch wide 13 amp dethatcher. It also comes with the Scarifier. I hope I'm saying that right. Comes with an interchangeable blade there, interchangeable bag. So, without any further ado, let's jump into this. All right, so right out of the gate, the good news is it comes fairly well put together. Obviously you got to put the handles together, but it looks like it comes with, yep, it's got the Scarifier already attached. And then, ooh, heads up, that's sharp. You can probably see those tines poking through from the dethatcher. They did their best to keep it all in place, but they are fairly sharp, so like I said, they are fairly sharp. So you got these spring loaded, and I'll get into how to swap this in a minute, but so far so good. Let's put this together. All right, so that wasn't too bad. It took, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 minutes. Figured I'd read the directions just in case, because it comes with this clip here that you'll see. It's just a cable tie. And then the only other thing that I wasn't sure was this piece that's hanging right here. And that's just to hold the extension cord when you have it plugged in. Now, one of the advantages of this model is supposed to be how easy it is to change the mowing height, or the detach height rather. So without reading the directions, let me see how intuitive it is. Yeah, it's that easy, okay? So you just pull one side out, you've got a measurement for 0, -5, -10, +5, and +10. So that'll get you how many millimeters off the ground you're going to be from low to high. Same thing for the actual height. If you loosen both of these, there's a little indicator on here for a low, middle, and high. So you can loosen that up and lock it into place for whatever height you happen to be. I'm gonna leave it on high. I'm 6 foot something. See, that's where the bagger will go if you're gonna use that. I'm probably not going to use it because I don't want to stop every couple of passes and empty it. But I'll give it a try and see how it goes. So that's how it looks. That's all it takes to set it up. And with an extension cord, you'll be up and running in 10 minutes or so, especially if you're going to start with the Scarifier, which is already installed. And speaking of the Scarifier, let's take a look underneath this, see what we've got, and see how easy it is to change the blades out. It looks like it's pretty straightforward. There's a couple bolts here. I did want to check this. Just check that again. I think it's slid. We got 2 millimeters thick, so it's a good size. I mean, they're pretty solid. I'm not really worried about them wearing down, hitting the grass anyway. They do give you this Allen wrench with it. In the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and use a drill. So pretty straightforward. It just pops out. And for the dethatch tines, and just to notice, this is a hex head, so it's going to go in there a specific way. Make sure it lines up once it's in. Yep, easy enough. So that's all it takes to get the attachments swapped out on this. Now that I've got it all tightened up and ready to go, let's run outside and see how it works. Okay, so a couple notes on this. The adjustable height settings, it's recommended that you use the top 3 down to 0 for the dethatcher, and then the 2 lower ones for the Scarifier. And just a point of clarification, the top is for dethatch, the bottom for scarifying, but the middle setting you can use for either one. So I started on the 10 millimeter setting, which is the highest setting, and it did all right. I made the first 2 passes, and right away I knew I needed something deeper, so I switched to 5. And you can tell already it's doing a little better job. So after 4 passes on 5, I went ahead and switched down to 0. And I'll show you here when it zooms in. Quite a bit of thatch was actually coming out. Every time I turned around, it was leaving the deposits at the edge of the yard, so you couldn't really see it. But you can tell when I back up here what really it's pulling up. And almost all of it is dead, not much alive, which was great. So here's a look at the first 8 to 10 passes. Starting left to right, it's when I started with the highest setting, number 10. I worked my way down from 10 to 5 millimeter, then to 0 millimeter, and you can see the difference in grass that it took up. And then when I got to the end and turned around, I would, disengage the motor and wind up with a pile of grass that looked like this. Again, you can tell it's mostly dead, not a lot of live stuff, which was great. So taking another look at the yard here, I want to talk about this extension cord. This is a 12 gauge 100-foot cord, which is the recommended gauge for between 50 and 100 feet. You can use a 14 gauge if it's up to 50 feet. You don't want to go a lower gauge than 14, and you don't want to go a longer length than 100. Here's a look at what a couple passes in the bagger will look like. I found that about every 2 to 3 passes I had to dump it. It couldn't quite fill up what the volume of the bagger was, but it did collect a decent amount. So the number one tip I have that isn't in the manual is, as you see me trying to adjust the extension cord, at this point I realized that there was a cable clip on both sides, and what I did was I just ran the extension cord through there, and that kept me from having to throw it out of the way when I came back making a left-hand turn. Got to work my way around the fire pit here, but what you'll see is when I make my next right-hand turn, it's right where it needs to be, and now I'm going to make a left-hand turn, and I didn't have to move the cable out of the way. It keeps it just enough that I can run the wheel right alongside of it, which saves time quite a bit once you get running. So there's another look at the cable holder that I showed you in the unboxing, and then what I did was I grabbed the extension cord here, pulled it down, and through the magic of editing, fell right into place. So that's how I went ahead and kept the extension cord in the line that it needed to be, so I didn't have to keep pulling it out of the way. So as I showed you inside, switching to the Scarifier from the dethatcher could not be easier. It's just a couple of Allen bolts and the unit pops out. One thing I did want to show you, so on the Scarifier, I'm not sure if this is mine or how it's supposed to be, but that end piece does come off and it has to snap right back into place. So if you're adjusting it and it doesn't feel like it quite fits, make sure you've got that all the way in, or else it's not going to fit. It's going to give you some trouble. So by comparison, the dethatcher, this end pops off as well, but just a little different way. So again, make sure when you're adjusting these, you've got them pushed in all the way, or else it's not going to fit. I started the Scarifier off at level 0, which is the highest setting, and after one pass I knew it wasn't going to be enough, so I went down to the -5mm and gave it another shot. -5 wasn't too bad, but again, since this yard hasn't been done in a while, a couple more passes and I decided to go to the deepest setting, which is -10mm. After a few passes with the Scarifier at the low setting, you could see just how good of a job it does. Almost like an aerator, where it is going to really put a groove into the ground and allow the roots to breathe. And also, if you're like me, next thing I did was put on fertilizer and some overseed. It's going to give a good place for the grass seed to root and for the fertilizer to absorb into the soil. So here's the point where I admit that I made a mistake. In the backyard, I started with the dethatcher, added the Scarifier second, and quickly realized that if I did it in reverse order, I'd have much better results. So in the front, this is just after using the Scarifier only. So what I did was I ran it through the basically the whole front yard on the lowest setting. You can see just how much thatch and dead grass it picks up. After this, I then went through with the dethatcher in the bag and actually picked it all up and pulled out whatever else was loosened by the Scarifier. So in terms of maintenance items, here's a couple things that I noticed. One was the dethatcher just picked up bits of dirt and debris, and I wound up afterwards going through, like you see, and just breaking off the bits of it. The second thing is it does have an air filter on the front of the machine, and this is after I blew it out. I went through afterwards and made sure I got all that stuff out, but you're going to want to keep an eye on that so that the machine doesn't overheat, because that will fill up pretty quick with the amount of thatch that it's putting up into the air and then pulling through. So let's talk results. Do I recommend this? Absolutely. What I usually use is a rental unit, one of those gas-powered ones that it's going to run you $70-80 for a day. At this one, at its price point, is a fantastic buy. It comes with, the dethatch tines. It comes with the Scarifier blades. They work as they're supposed to, and again, for this price, as well as this does what it's intended to do, it's a great buy. So, the only inconvenience is the fact that there's an extension cord on it, but I'll take that inconvenience all day for these results, and the fact that when I'm done at under 25 pounds, I can, set this thing up on a shelf and not worry about it again. I don't need to stabilize the gas or winterize it. It just does what it's supposed to, and then it's out of your way. So if you're looking at this and you're wondering if it's for you, I gotta say, you're gonna be happy with it. Sunjos have had a pretty good reputation with these, and this brand new model doesn't seem to be any different.